And it's been the last couple weeks working on the bowl prep with our younger guys and a lot of different practicing with some guys at different spots, and obviously trying to figure out who's going to be the potential linebackers for next year. And then obviously some younger guys in the secondary and up front. We're getting a lot of work there. Talk about a little bit of things that we're looking for. Obviously Boston College is a team that we're excited to play, to go to New York. I haven't been in the Christmas time when I was in New York, so this will be good for us and our family. I think our players are excited about it. Coach Jim Reed obviously gave me a call about that as soon as he knew we were playing them, so I'm looking forward to seeing him again. And so I think that'll be a great experience for everybody in our program. I'll open up to any questions. Anybody have any questions?
Phil, did you think in your wildest dreams that Josh was capable of accomplishing what he did this year? I mean, how surprised were you?
Well, Josh has a lot of athletic ability. I think, going through the process with him, and he played 2 years ago with Sperling in the sub packages, and he has all the athletic ability. I think it takes a little bit of time when you're working in the secondary, the different coverages or schemes as far as, are you playing zone or are you playing man? And I think that's really helped him. The more he was involved in the game planning and seeing it, that he improved every day. I think he has a lot more upside. I think he can go. I think Miles Taylor did a great job with him, is bringing him along, show them how to watch film and study the different offenses that we see. And I think, they live together, so that's kind of a nice little thing for us that, he really took care of him. And I think he's growing every day.
What would you tell him about turning pro, and what have you talked to him about that decision that he's got coming up?
Well, everybody has their decisions to make, and we joke around a little bit about it, but it's definitely a decision that he's going to have to make with his family and what's best for him. The good thing is he'll graduate in May. I think he has somewhere around 9 to 12 credits left, so I'm excited about that. If he chooses to go, I'm happy for him. I wish him the best of luck. If he stays, it'd probably be our best recruit in the back end.
What do you think he should do? How would you advise him?
I'm really not in his situation. I'd say, you got to look at all the pros and cons of it. One thing about college football, it's more family life. I think when you start going into the NFL, it's all about a business. So he has to look at that, and if it's a business decision, that he wants to base it on, or does he want to be part of some kind of family here, or he can come back and be another 2-year starter here and still have the same opportunities. I think he has to look at it, with his family, what's the best interest for him.
How much along those lines, rise amidst being only a 5th round, which I know a lot of people obviously weren't expecting, but how do you think that him coming back after an All-American season has kind of weighed with Josh?
Well, I'm sure it weighs in a little bit on Josh, I think. Obviously, Desmond was here at the game, the Ohio State game, and, after he had that great day there with 3 interceptions there, obviously a lot of guys thought the decision should be made. But, obviously, Desmond was a different story. He doesn't have the same dimensions and the skill set that maybe Josh has. But, Desmond has a lot more football instincts than maybe Josh does.
You talked about linebackers, and you've got to replace 3 of them, and really your top 4, because when you had Josie out, you played another senior. Where do things stand now? Is this something that's probably going to be going all the way to the end of August, at least for one of the positions?
Oh, there's no question it's going to go out, and I think this last month here, and even the next couple of days here, that we're still looking at some guys that we feel like who's going to be the best fit that's going to replace the inside at the mic, and obviously, we got all 3 positions to do it. So it's been a good month for us to really try to, find out who's the guy. Right now, I couldn't tell you.
What's the situation with health at strong safety with Miles, and is Hooker ready to go?
Yeah, Hooker's been practicing. He's been back. I thought he could have probably played towards the end there, but for his safety, and I think it was best to hold him out. But I think he's really been doing well, and they have no problems with him. He's been practicing almost every day since the last 2 or 3 weeks. So we're lucky on that.
How much have you sensed
the guys want to end the bowl losing streak, especially the seniors. It seemed like that was a common theme when we talked to them after the announcement. Have you sensed that in the preparation?
Yeah, you can feel it. I think the guys are all in tune. That obviously they just got out of finals last week, so I think they're excited about it. They come over here now. It's on a different program. They don't have to worry about going to school. Everybody's kind of focusing in right now on Boston College, and we're starting to get narrowed down to a game week situation. So I do see the enthusiasm of the guys going out every day and trying to compete every day against our offense, even though we go Iowa versus Iowa at times, but they're also, now we're starting to get into Boston College, and I think the guys are looking for it. It is a challenge for us, what these guys are doing at Boston College with their personnel groupings. They have, 13 personnel, 12 personnel. They're more tight end oriented teams and like to run the ball, so this is definitely going to be a challenge for us to, hunker down with them a little bit and see if we can stop the run.
Jackson and King are just two in kind of a long line of guys you've had in the first team, all Big Ten defensive backs. For you, what's the key when it comes to developing a defensive back to have them really play kind of that kind of level?
Well, I think, it all comes down to the player. A lot of these guys have skill sets that, different from one and another that I've had. And I think it's really the commitment that they take and how they approach the game. And, everybody thinks you're out there on the practice field, after practice, you're done. There's so much film study that needs to be done, and I think our guys have done a great job of buying into that. I think the more you study the film, the more you can anticipate what the plays are going to be and the faster that you're going to play. I think that a lot of people take that for granted hey, we're out there practicing, the day's over, and you don't understand that they put in 9 to 10 hours on their own. Not in the meetings with us, but on their own. And as you start saying there's 168 hours in a week, and then you got 8 hours of sleep, and then you got classes, then you're actually out there practice, and then where are you going to find that 8 hours to study on your own, and how do you do it efficiently to get the most out of it? And I think, the older they get, the better they become, and I think that all pertains to their hard work and dedication of, preparation.
Out on the recruiting trail, is there one physical trait that stands out that you want to see in a DB more than any other?
Well, a lot of things that I look at is I try to quiz guys of what they do. I ask them, to me sometimes it might be a simple question, how to play checkers or chess, and see how they think and how they place the guys. If you play them in checkers or chess, is how they think. Are they thinking ahead? Are they anticipating? And obviously you got to have the athletic ability, you got to be able to run, but I look for football players, and somebody has that sense of understanding the game of football, which, a lot of times you see a lot of great athletes that really can't play very well. They're fast, but sometimes they're going fast the wrong way, and they're twice as far away as they should be as you get a guy that understands the game and can see and develop. And I think it goes from a small camera to a big camera, back to a small camera, back to a big camera, of when you're sitting there watching it in the back end. And it's hard to tell, you guys, until you start seeing it from the end zone or what place they are on the field and how do they see it. Everybody sees it from up here in the stands. It's easy. See it on TV, it's easy. But where are you standing on the field, and what do you see, and what information are you gathering? And that information, you're making decisions, within the first 3 or 4 seconds, you're making, probably 20, 25 different decisions.
You look at linebacker, the last time you lost 3 starters, they were all NFL players, and 2 of them are still playing. But there was a considerable drop-off, which is going to happen. Do you anticipate, how do you keep from that happening this year? Jewell may be hard to replace no matter what.
Yeah, first of all, let's Josie Jewell, what a great year he had, and with all the awards he has, and obviously Josh, well-deserved for both of those guys. And, I think, Josie's a guy, you look at it, and when we were coming out of high school, and we sit there and look at, we didn't know he was going to be this, but what was it? What made him who he is? And I think it's, the way he was brought up, the way he thinks, how he works on the farm. And so to get some other guy to come in here and do that, I think that'd be hard for the first year. Obviously, we're going to put pressure on these kids, and the next couple of weeks, hopefully we get a chance to, get some of these guys some more reps, and then spring ball, and then once again, we'll find out in the fall, who's going to be those guys.
Is it you want to get to those guys as quickly as you can to get them involved and in the command center, as it were? Do you want to find them as fast as you can?
Yes, you do. I think, you got to get them in there and start making the decisions, and especially with those guys that, you have to make some calls up front and tell the defensive line sometimes, or communicate with the secondary, and you need to make sure that they can make those decisions. And the louder they are, the more confident they are, And sometimes I think they know they're undecided a little bit, and they really don't know, and they're afraid to say something. And sometimes that makes them a little bit slower football players. So we're working on that. I think our guys are doing a good job. And I think we got to go back, the same thing we did back in 2013, and go back to work making sure that we get these guys in here looking at film doing early January and February.
Looks like Welch and men's right now would be those.
Yeah, I think that you're right.
That's accurate.
Yeah, and I think Amani Jones has done a good job the last couple of practices. That he has a lot of strength and power. Whether he's going to be a Mike or whether he's going to be the Will, I think that's going to be an interesting battle there. I think he's moved up in the last couple, I'd say 2 or 3 practices.
Brian said that he felt that BC looked a lot like Iowa. Is that kind of a feather in your cap then? Does that help you guys because they kind of do look the same on both sides of the ball, or how would you assess that?
I think we have the same type of philosophy of understanding that you got to run the ball and you got to stop the run. And to us, I think we're built about being physical, and football is a violent game, and I think they play with a lot of violence. And whether they do it on defense or I know they do it on offense, up front. So I think that's probably what he's more really talking about. Basically, are they running the same stuff that we are? Probably similar, but not the same.
You guys played 8 and 9 defensive linemen this year, which is a little bit of a departure. I know you guys want to play as many as you can up front. Do you see 8 going forward as a standard that you guys want to reach, or is it just it worked out that way this year?
Well, I'd like to get to 10 to 12. I think, Alabama probably has at least 12 guys that they rotate 14. In, so that's lucky for them. But, our goal is always to have at least 8 going in and hopefully 10. We like to travel 10, and, with our travel squad being at 10 defensive linemen, I think that's a really good number that we like to have.
Do you feel like there's a bit of a, with A.J. Epineza coming in and basically, buying into a spot or some playing time, does N get a little crowded for you guys?
No, I think when you look at it, I think the opportunity. I think he'll have an opportunity to move inside at times, but right now I think he's in a good spot. There might be some other guys that can help us out inside, and you never have enough ends. You never have enough defensive linemen, and when you have good defensive linemen, then obviously the linebackers can play a lot faster, and it helps some guys out, and obviously in the back end.
Your 2 inside positions have got a linebacker have experience. Whether it's Jack Hockaday's played, he replaced Josie a few years ago. Menz was going to be your starter a couple years ago. Jones played a lot. Same thing with Welch. What about on the outside? Is it right now Nick Neiman and maybe Barrington Wade or anybody else?
Them are the 2 guys right now that are working the most on the outside that are underclassmen coming back. And we've been looking at it at a different aspect of maybe even putting a defensive back in that area, and if we have to move Nick inside or Barrington more inside and play with, 2 inside linebackers and play with the skill guy out there based on the personnel that we're seeing on all these offensive teams. We've normally been a regular 40 defense, and that's our normal people that we have in the game, but I think there's opportunities that we might be able to put in a skill guy in there at times. All depends what personnel that we're going to see mostly. And if it starts to get 21 and 12 personnel, we'll keep in the linebacker. And if it continues to be 11 like it has, we've talked and kicked it around a little bit about putting the defensive back in there.
There's a lot of that because your outside backers, specifically Kirksey and then of course Neiman, both of them can play like safeties as well as hit like linebackers.
Exactly, and I think if you look at Nick might be a little bit faster than Ben. So we're really excited to have his brother, with that skill set, have a chance to come in and it probably has a little bit better skill sets than Ben. Not to disrespect Ben, but I think he's just younger and faster, quicker guy.
It's pretty interesting that you might move a defensive back up. Would it be more like
a strong safety? It'd be a safety type of guy. And
okay.
It could be a Monty Hooker if we wanted to, or another guy that can go in there and play. a down safety that's basically you're playing man-to-man at times, you run to the flat. It's not really a hard position. You just got to make sure that you have the reps to do it, and that's why we always keep our base defense in the game.
The Purdue game, when you guys had that stretch in the third quarter there where you were taking corners out, was that particularly discouraging for you, or were you trying to find something there, and has Matt brought a little bit of stability then?
I think Matt's done a good job all camp, and starting off with when he first started camp, and then he really progressed during the season and doing a good job during the week. And I thought there was an opportunity to get him some playing time, and I thought he stepped in and did a good job. Obviously, I'd love to call some different, get us out of some of those situations that we were in, but I thought it was a time to make a move, and I thought, at that time, I thought Matt did a good job of going in there, and obviously he finished off the season pretty well.
Last question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is that something he builds on and maybe gets into that Desmond and Josh talk? Or I know it's way too early, but is he established for next year?
I think he has the ability to do that. I think you got to make sure that one thing about football players nowadays with social media and everything, to keep them grounded, keep them hungry, and we got to do a good job of doing that. And that's my job, to make sure they're humble and hungry and keep pushing forward and trying to improve, and not what your expectations, but what I think your expectations are. And that sometimes kids don't understand that. And not saying that I'm going to set the standard, but if I see you do something once, then I expect that. And once you've done it, then you got to keep on going and see how much better you can get. So.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks.